Welcome back to another Raised Hunting podcast.
Keep going.
What? I wanted to do the NFL, what they do with the welcome back to another, presentation of a football game, but we might get sued for that one. Anyways, welcome back to the Raised Hunting podcast without David. It's just me and Warren, and there's no apologies to be had because most time he's apologizing for what me and him would say, when normally I think Dad's the one that cusses the most, comes out the most out-of-pocket comment, or I think I've only had like one in 3 years, so.
Oh, whatever.
Okay.
You like this what you're looking for?
No, that's Carrie Underwood. I know who that is.
Yeah, but it's the opening song.
I know, but they do like the same time. Nick knows what I'm talking about.
Following is a presentation of the National Football League.
There it is.
Oh.
Yeah, and then they tell you about how you can't legally show this elsewhere. You can't do that to Raised Hunting.
I think we should try it because then if the NFL comes after us, we've done something. We might as well throw the WWE in there while we're at it.
Oh my, okay. Anyways, we have some good stuff lined up for you guys today. I have not been doing my job all that great because when you guys go on the website, we keep telling you guys to go on the website, submit a podcast request or a story, and you guys have done that very well, actually. I just have not gotten it all organized very well yet, and so yesterday I spent some time where I'm going to start catching up on our stories because we have quite a few. So if you guys have any great stories you want to tell about, whether you were successful, not successful, whether the podcast helped you or not, the scents helped you or not, just anything that you feel as though is an interesting or cool story and you'd like us to share it, go to the website, submit or click on podcast requests, contact us, and podcast requests, and you can submit a story with photos and whatever else. And then, of course, if you guys have topic ideas,
Whoa!
He's been pissing on every blanket in here.
I think I caught him.
No, you didn't. It's sitting there.
Oh.
You're a problem. Sit, legend. Yeah, so David is in Florida with his wife.
He's fishing right now.
He's freaking fishing. He's fishing big bass. And we have Lejonde, his freaking hellion of a dog that pisses on things. Anyways, and Dan, the angel. So anyways, submit stuff. If you guys have podcast topic requests, please try to put, whether it's a question, something you think that we'll answer in like 5 to 10 minutes versus a legitimate topic that we could talk about for an hour. Otherwise, I decipher those and I go through some of them. But anyways, Warren's going to do some shout outs because we're behind on that as well. And I'm going to do stories. I'm going to do some listener Q&As. Me and Warren are going to answer them pretty quickly. And then we're going to get into the top three things that we have learned from this season, because it's been a long one for some of us. And I'm assuming probably what we're going to implement for next year or change dramatically for next year. So let's get into it.
All right. Thanks you to our Spotify guys. We are closer to 500 reviews than 400 reviews on Spotify now, which is pretty awesome. Eric Robards, great podcast. You guys are spot on with the food source. My food plots are loaded with deer right now. These two are about to lose their mind. Michael Scott.
No way.
That's the guy from The Office, right?
Yes, it is.
He says, great podcast, guys. Long-time listener, first-time commenter. Top 5% fan according to Spotify.
Nice.
Appreciate you, Michael. Haha. Deer have been in my beans and brassicas nonstop since we have had snow in Missouri. I plan to take advantage of that for the weekend hunts. Keep up the great work. Appreciate you, Michael. Wow, what are the odds of that? Next one. Dwight Schrute. I'm kidding. I should have gone on there myself.
That would have been really funny.
Algoma Flyways. I was waiting for the late season episode for this season. Thanks for another good one. I'm still holding a tag here in Ontario, open until December 15th. Quentin Spock set up my property to hunt the late season. Historically, the buck I was after lived on ours all spring and summer and would leave for 1 to 2 weeks during the last week of October, first week of November. With that said, both targets got killed by other hunters. That's unfortunate. Now that it's late season, have a lot of deer showing up. It made me wish I would have had some early season attraction too. Now that's something to think of. Vega, I'm lucky my fiance pushes me to go out every chance I get. Aaron says, thank you for another great podcast. Always great information. And then better give our YouTubers some love. Now I got to get off of let's get ready to rumble before Vince McMahon sues us. Jeremy Rupsick says, it is tough to go this long and not even get a chance on a buck. Definitely a mental game. Since I'm part of a couple deer manager groups, we have to record all of our observations while we are hunting. Our hunting hours and our harvest. It is cool to be able to go back and see the records of deer sightings and harvests. Well, Mr. Nick strikes again, or should I say, didn't strike. Jeez, man, don't you listen to these guys that you're recording all the time where you hit these big deer to kill them. Great stuff, guys.
He just
Thanks
roasted
again.
the crap out of you. Dad talked about Nick's
Deer
situation, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm not in a lot better boat. William Ayers, SP4TT. Great episode, guys. David, hope you and Warren can get it done. I've been keep hunting journal since I started hunting. My dad started it, and I just never quit doing it. I am now almost 50. Every once in a while, I'll read some of them, and I can picture everything like it just happened. Teedweez D60. Easton, please and thank you. If you could put that in a PDF. Always wanted to start one, and now with my oldest son starting to tag along with me while hunting, it would be great to start one that him and his brother could carry on. Great podcast. Keep up the good work.
I'm going to do that. That was, I told him, unfortunately, I only have one. I felt like more people would maybe want that, but the harvest log that we all do, I said if they want, because I guess not very many people do that, I'll put a PDF thing or try to figure out a PDF thing on the website so people could go download it and print their stuff off.
Well, you got two. Dalton Anderson, 200. It would be cool to start a log like that. I would really love for you to do that. Lemon Pepper Tortoise is an awesome name. I put some LHD out in front of me in the field I was hunting and watched a 130-inch buck with his nose down clear a 400-yard field in what seemed like 5 seconds coming straight for that scent, and I smoked him.
Nice. That's
Very
what you like to
nice.
hear.
Lemon Pepper Tortoise.
That is a freaking awesome name.
All right.
All right, we good?
Yep.
All right, we're going to jump right into stories. We've got a lot. And so if I haven't not read your story yet, don't feel mad or upset, but
We're just archiving them, caching them.
I ran out there for a while, and now I've got more than I know what to do with. But I'm going to randomly pick, so these are not in order. I used to be more organized than this, but, well, this is going to be better. All right, first one, Derek Toso. I might be saying your last name wrong, so if I am, I apologize. Had some public land access in Minnesota before gun season started. Spotted this buck October 30th and only hunted him on the right winds and made sure I had the best access possible to get close to where I had seen him come out that night. November 5th, he came out checking some does. About 20 minutes before shooting light ended at about 300 yards out. I decided to grab my grunt called and grunted at him. He instantly started running in my direction. He closed the distance pretty quickly and stopped about halfway, so I grunted at him again. He then continued running right to me. He stopped at 35 yards. I let the arrow fly, and all I heard was a smack and him drop his head, taking off running. He ran about 50 yards, and I watched him go down. This is my first archery deer in the 19 years I've been hunting in this zone. It's a buck-only zone. I had as many emotions as one could possibly have. I have been replaying that night in my head over and over for the last 2 weeks. Just wanted to share my story on this amazing buck. I listen to the pod every week, and I've learned a lot from it. Nice.
Awesome.
Congratulations, my man. That's pretty freaking cool.
First buck in 19 years. So.
Yeah, I wonder if, because it's a buck-only zone.
Yeah.
Which, I've heard of those. But congratulations, my friend. That's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, that's persistence.
I've got another one here that I'd like to read specifically that was very, pretty freaking cool, to be honest with you. This one is from Eric Mast. Hello from Ohio. First of all, thanks for the great podcast and topics. I listen to every one of them. Through listening to the podcast, I finally got some buck junkie and scrape king. I put out a scrape tree, and I had 3 different bucks hit it in less than 12 hours, and it has only continued since that. Thank you for a great product. Good luck to everyone else this season. Also, I do have a great story for you from back in 2021. from 2021, a season with my fiance at the time. She had just got her bow in June for the year, and she had never hunted before other than going with me on some hunts, mainly turkeys. After tons of practice and a really good deer showing up on camera, we went out opening night. Wow. It's not distracting at all, Dan. 2 weeks before our wedding, sitting in a double stand about 45 minutes before dark, we had nine different bucks in that field. We had tons of action and ended up seeing the number one shooter I was after. There's no punctuation in this, my friend. Came into 35 yards, and she gave me the go-ahead to shoot him, even though she had the opportunity. So I ended up shooting him, and after celebrating and still being on the phone with my brother, telling him how everything happened, my fiance pushed me and said, hey, there's another one coming in. I quickly hung up the phone, and we got ready and ended up. He came in to 10 yards in 15 minutes. After I shot, she put a perfect arrow right through a different buck. Okay, so basically.
They doubled.
Yes, they doubled.
That's awesome.
Double along and watch them go down in the field as well. One of the best memories ever hunting for me, and something we'll probably never do again. Attached to the picks and the scrape tree that the bucks are going wild on. Heck yeah, my friend.
Yeah,
That's pretty freaking cool. All right.
Especially having both go down in the field.
Yeah, watching you both smoke them. That's pretty legit. All right. Q&A segment. We're going to crank through this one. We'll talk about it a little bit if there's some more to talk about. And then we will get right into this year. Okay? This one's simple. This one's from Clifton Hart. How rare or good of a sign is it to find a scrape and a rub on the same tree? It's a Christmas tree in the mountains of western North Carolina. Also, feel free to share on the podcast or have a discussion. I don't think it's that rare, seeing both of them together.
Yeah, I'd say pretty common.
Yeah. As far as useful, if the scrape's big, that'd be pretty useful, I would say.
I would say if the rub is really tore up and there's a couple scrapes around that area, I'd be more inclined to put a camera on that scrape and rub than.
I would also say that's
ones.
A lot more rare too. If it's a rub that they're all hitting naturally year after year. Here's an interesting one. This is one I wanted to do. We probably should have waited for Dad on this one because he'd definitely argue with us on it probably. Love the podcast, guys. Look forward to it every Tuesday. I'm in the Michigan Thumb area. Try to manage for mature bucks, but have run across a buck that I believe should be taken. He's a spike, definitely 1.5 years old as I passed him my first sit, looking through binos for his nuts because horned doe have been taken. I'm assuming he sounds like, okay, there's been does there that have had antlers. He has $0.25 to $half pedestals, size-wise. And if you cut your pointer finger at the top of the knuckle, it's about all he's got. Always believed in passing spikes, but think he is inbred. Thank you for the input, guys. Good luck and God bless. Yes, since have made me a believer and have been spreading the word. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
There's a lot of finger analogies there.
Yeah.
So this is what was his name?
This is Ryan Shankin.
All right, Ryan. In spirit of your language, this is what I tell you about shooting that spike. Thumbs down. Flip your state upside down.
That was pretty good.
Don't shoot that deer.
Well, the only thing I think I would tell him no too, but he's saying the antlers look all jacked up, and
So he said his
I guess he
pedicles
did
are the
find
size
those.
of $0.25 to $half,
which is pretty good for a spike. I mean.
maybe he's a heavy spike, and I don't know that. I haven't spent that much time trying to see a spike's nuts, but I can't imagine that they're all that big. So
I think he found them though.
Oh, he did.
He didn't clarify that he did not find them.
Okay. So we're gonna assume that he has his nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, you have no idea what he's gonna be. Maybe
There's nothing to lose by leaving him.
Which I think as well, if you think of nature as a whole, I think they're pretty good at avoiding inbred.
Well, that's the whole point.
Otherwise, you'd have a whole bunch of them running around.
That's the whole point of why a buck will leave in certain areas, is to avoid being inbred. That's why they leave their home area after a year or whatever. So I think you're good to assume that it's probably not inbred.
My personal opinion would be at least give him a year. Let him get to at least 2 years old before you make that decision. I mean, he could even just be a late fawn, and was a late fawn, and so he's got a little late on his antler growth, and he's pretty heavy, but he's not that tall of a spike. But when they're 1 year old, you can't predict anything yet. So I would tell you, actually, and it's not really just me, studies. This is what we've had discussion with Dad. We've read multiple studies now saying that.
And I had the biologist answer this, the one you weren't on.
And what did he say? He said the same thing,
yes.
right? But yeah,
don't shoot the spikes.
But the one I remember the study that we read that they did in Texas or whatever. They had of all of the spikes, half of them that were smaller still ended up being 170-inch deer and stuff.
Yeah.
So don't
you
be shooting them
anything by there.
Yeah, you got to let them get. I mean, honestly, I'm not deeming a deer a true management deer until he's at least 4. Like if he's 4 years old and he's still 130 or something like that, at least for an Iowa deer, or 140, I'd say that deer, shoot it. I don't think you're going to hurt anything. That's just my opinion.
That's the other thing that we talked about on that with the biologist, both biologists. One was the Kip, who knows. We asked a lot about velvet and everything. Then the Iowa biologist. But statistically speaking, there's no point in shooting even the 140-inch deer that's 4, unless you're just wanting to. Don't take this for us saying that you shouldn't be shooting a deer you're happy with. By all means, you should be. But age doesn't matter if you're in that boat. You should be shooting whatever walks in that makes you happy. But if you're trying to manage or trying to grow on your property the biggest deer, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense even to shoot the 140-inch deer that's 4, because statistically speaking, he can't get any bigger after you shoot him than when he's statistically supposed to be the biggest. It's 5 to 6.
Yeah, I'm saying you just shoot that deer because I think the less bullies that I could have, less potential bullies that I could have, and the less pressure for the deer that I'm hoping are going to be something extravagant, then the better off I am. So
that's the only thing that I've found that shooting bucks, you're either shooting an older buck, a target deer that is become mature and he's the freaking beast of a deer that you've been trying to find, or you're shooting a deer that is benefiting the rest of the deer, not genetics. Well, meaning it's beating up the other deer, or it's being a problem, or it's pushing other deer out. The amount of people that believe that you can genetically modify your area.
Yeah, I'm not saying genetically at all. I'm just saying if he's a 4-year-old and he's still not anywhere near what you want him, I think you could shoot him, because then you know he can't become a bully. Like that deer that we saw in the beans the other day. If that deer,
the one antler one or the other one,
the other one, if that one didn't have potential, and
he should be. I don't care about potential. You need to shoot
that deer. Oh, I mean, if that deer becomes a booner, though, you want that deer there because they're
except if there's 3 or 4 others that are deer that have very good potential and they get shot because of him.
Maybe, but
1 versus 4.
I mean, this deer was an asshole. Like I haven't seen a deer.
Leave that in the comments below. You have a deer that is a complete bully, that is an up and comer, and you know it. He's beating the crap out of every deer, and he's maybe 2 or 3 years old.
He's at least 3.
3. And he is running every deer off. You can shoot him at that point. He's a good deer, as is. Or you run the risk of letting him grow and running every deer off. He's already doing it. Would you do that? Shoot him early and get rid of him and hope that you have 3 to 4 others that are going to grow better? Or do you let him grow and say, screw all the other deer, because you're only going to have 1 for the next couple of years?
But
which one are you doing?
I'm keeping him.
I know what you're doing, but I'm saying to them, leave it, or leave a comment.
I don't think 1 deer could run the whole thing, though, either. Even if he has just a nasty attitude, he just can't be everywhere at once.
Yeah, I mean, Patch. No, Patch is dead now. But no, are you asking which one?
No, he was a 9 with a split eye guard. He took Marshmallow, the one with the 1 antler, and that deer's at least twice his age, I think, and just completely sprinted right at him. It's like, I'm not taking any of your. And then a does would look at him wrong, and he'd chase him all around the food plot, not like sexually chasing them, like chasing them with his ears pinned, like, screw you. I mean, pissed.
He was angry at the world.
Yeah, I mean, every deer he was a Tasmanian devil. That's the best way I could explain him, is he was just angry at everyone.
All right, I've got 2 more question and answers for us here. This one is, you guys have the perfect person for this question to answer this person, meaning Warren is here. Have y'all ever been able to tell a deer from year to year from the color of its fur? I got a picture of a deer last year that had very light fur and a picture of a deer this year with similar fur. I believed he was 1 to 2 last year, and it's the same. If it is the same deer, he jumped 80 to 100 inches. I'll put pictures of the deer so y'all can see exactly what I'm saying. Thanks for y'all's input, and congrats to Easton on a giant buck. Thank you. So I looked at this. Well, you're thinking 80 to 100 inches when you hear that. You're thinking it's going to be some freaking crazy deer. It goes from like a little
spike to 80.
Yeah, I mean, like a young buck. I guess I don't think he's going to care if we show this. He submitted it, so we could show you guys. To answer the question generally, so I looked at this yesterday when I was zooming in on everything too. I'm like 90% sure this is the same deer because you can look at, there's a spot on his right leg that is white hair, and then his back left leg, and it's almost the same angle. The front right leg has the patch of white hair, and then the back, I mean, it looks pretty incredible. But to answer the question, yes, you can't, but it depends on body markers, if they're permanent body markers or if they're something that's like they got cut up or something that year. Or like patch was interesting because you'll see a lot of deer when they rub their antlers back, they'll itch their back and scrape some hair off and stuff. Normally that grows back. I don't know what he did, if he just kept itching so bad that it's literally a scar.
Yeah, for years.
And it's been there every year. You could tell that's patch, summer, winter, anytime. But as far as like this one is, you're looking at a specific type of feature. I think that is pretty common. That's something that's overlooked a lot. Everybody looks at antlers versus maybe see if there's something on the body. I mean, we've seen deer before that the only reason we've determined what deer it is, that it's a different deer because it looks so similar, is because they have a cut in their ear or something else that we see from the year before that, okay, this one has a cut in his ear and this one doesn't. Oh, it's 2 different deer. So I think you absolutely can determine deer based on body. It's just not very common you see something on their body that is like different enough for you to tell, I don't think.
Ralph had white socks.
That was the other one I was thinking of. That's the only reason I knew which one he was shedded.
Yeah, because he had up over his hooves, it was white on all 4 of his feet. I mean, I'm good at recognizing deer from their antlers, not really their body features. And like that deer, though, I mean, this deer was literally a fork and horn and then looked like a 130-inch deer, 125-inch deer. So I can't help that much on that one, but I would agree. I do think that looks like the same deer because he's got a pretty unique white patch on his back leg.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think that's the same deer. But typically I'm looking at their antlers. I guess when I'm trying to recognize a deer year to year, there's 2 things I'm really taking into consideration. I think the first one I don't really realize that I pay that much attention to, which is one, locations of like where I've seen them, habits, things that they've been doing, and then second is antler features.
I see. I found myself doing the places more than I realized. I mean, obviously I'm looking at antlers too, but like that one antlered deer I called Elliot.
Yeah.
I thought it was nuts. I mean, I'd said that if this deer, I think he just broke his one side in velvet or something, but if he grew, I was like, I think he could be a really good deer. Well, he blew up the next year, and his one side matched, but I had no idea what his other side looked like. And the only thing I was going off of was he does have a side that looks perfect, and everywhere I'm seeing him is identical to same time, same places, same. Yep. Even the deer acts the same. But that was because I was getting to see him in person too. Okay, last one we'll do here real quick is new to the podcast, watched the show for years. Post-season scents, what do we use? I want to do this one because it sounds just about as crazy as when people think that we're nuts for putting stuff out in June. Hey, that's a backpack, brother. You're not laying in the backpack. People think it's nuts that we put scents out early for scrapes and everything, but this time of year too is pretty freaking nuts. The rut system that we have on the website, where it's the Scrape Addict, the LHD, and the Scrape Queen, The reason that is put together is because I did that it was the first week of December, something like that. First week of December a couple years ago, and my scrapes were blowing up more. I was like, oh, I actually got a scrape to work again this late. I mean, I'll have scrapes stay open even in the snow. I have it right now. But when I used those three together, it was extremely impressive. I think the reason I preface that is because LHD is this time of year pretty uncommon for them to be finding a doe, but they still are interested. If that's what I've talked about in previous podcasts or just videos and stuff, is convenience. If they're coming to a scrape already and they smell a doe and heat, they're probably not going to just walk by it. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, your scrapes are going to start, slowing down quite a bit. Rubs are still going pretty freaking strong, and they probably will continue to do so. But
they seem to hit at least our rub trees until their antlers drop.
There's less time of them not hitting. I guess it's about even, because they'll rub on those things till their antlers are dropped, even after a little bit.
Yeah, and they start hitting them a little bit later than they do scrapes, it seems like.
Yeah. So as far as scrapes go, and it also depends on your location. I don't know where you're from. But the southern guys right now, are just now getting started. So if you are one of them, you have the whole lineup at your beck and call. You could use whatever you want to use. And your rut is coming up. Yeah. So the rut's coming. That's a great system to be using anyways. But if you're anywhere else where the rut's pretty well over, that is what I'm using right now. And if I'm not, I'm saving it for next year. So, all right. That is, we caught up on quite a bit there. I think that's pretty good.
Yep.
All right. You want to get into the real topic now, the top three things? Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I think Warren might just need to let some emotion out here.
I don't know. For me, this has been, it's hard to say it's been the worst year, because it hasn't been that bad of a year as far as
not in a complaining way, but in a way of not getting the shot.
As far as killing a deer,
yes.
This has been the worst year of my life. So last year, I'm sure most of you know that listen to the podcast at least regularly, I really didn't get to hunt much last year. That's when I was able to come eye to eye a lot more with the guy who has a typical job and has to provide for his family, where he's got only the weekends. Because
you didn't even hunt the weekends.
I think I had probably 10 days that I got to hunt last year. Which was by far and you're going from a guy who's been able to previously hunt every day of the season, but I told myself last year that I was going to make sure that if I sacrificed this one hunting season, it's because I was going to work so hard that I'd never have to miss one again. And I am proud to say that, at least for now, I've pretty much managed to do that, because I was able to hunt a lot this year. Hopefully too many of my clients aren't listening to this. But I have a great team that allows me to do that. And so anyways, I hunted, I probably had to hit 50 days this year, I think.
I don't know. I don't have any of yours numbered, because I do yours by date.
Other than like the 90-degree days that we had at the early
50,
year.
But you're up there. You got a lot.
Well, I've never had more than 30, I don't think.
Yeah, this year is not that.
He had 55. Okay, so I probably have 40, 43 or something like that. Yeah, because Dad was even hunting when it was 92 degrees.
Yeah.
So
he only had 53?
That's every day of the season, though, except for 6.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't think you didn't hunt.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, anyways, long story short, I've hunted. I can't say that time was any problem this year, and I was able to hunt more than so I guess I did. I hunted more this year than I ever have, because previous years I tagged out or was filming somebody else. And so, where I guess I can't say that it was a bad year was, I have 2 specific deer that I'd been chasing, and the one I've had 5 different encounters with, and haven't been able to kill him. The other one is on a very consistent schedule of every 6 days he shows up. And so then at that point I thought it was going to be easy, because it is 6 days on the dot that deer is there. And so hunted each of those. And so the first one, I should have killed him. Well, I almost killed him on October 29th, which is a much more typical year for me, that I go to the one place that I think that it's going to be, and then I typically between October 28th and November 2nd, I get an opportunity in that time frame. And so I had the deer that I was chasing at 36 yards, and I just wasn't comfortable with the shot because there was about a basketball-sized window, and then the wind was blowing a little bit to where there would be a leaf that would go through the window. And, I mean, you saw it, and it was like,
it would have been tough.
It would have been really tough, and so I basically, I mean, he stood there for probably 5 minutes, and I got through about a minute of him standing there, and I was like, okay, if I'm having to think this hard about whether I should take this shot or not, I'm not going to take this shot. And so then I was hoping that he would turn, because a doe up ahead of him had gotten my wind a little bit, that he would turn and wheel out and give me a shot. And so then he did do that, and I drew on him, and I grunted at him, and he didn't hear me. And so then he was at broadside at like 37, 38, and then he didn't hear me grunt, and so he didn't stop until 50. And so then at that point, I let down on him, and then I was thinking that the deer gods would bless me for not taking a marginal shot, and instead they just kicked my teeth in over and over and over. And so then I saw him again. Basically, then you guys have heard me talk about the strategy that I basically employ, of that I'm going to pick out one spot where I feel as though I will get a shot at them, and then I will just keep sitting at that spot over and over. So the one day I went to go sit that spot, and there was just something in my gut. I couldn't get myself to go all the way down there and set up my saddle gear, so I stayed back a little bit further and got in a tree, a stand we already had there. And sure enough, he saw him about an hour later chasing does all around right where I was going to set up. So, I mean, hindsight's 20/20. If I'd have set up where I was going, would I have killed him? Maybe, or maybe I'd have busted him. I don't know. But so I didn't do it there. And then the third time I was sitting there, saw him. He had a doe in heat, but he went the other way, and he never got closer than really about 100 yards. But then the key portion of that one was the other deer was on his 6-day rotation. And so I told Easton and Alyssa I was going to go hunt the other deer that morning, the next morning. Well,
both in which supported and said you should do that.
Yeah, both which told me, yeah, I should go hunt the other one. Well, I started reading a whole bunch of studies and everything on does and heat and how long bucks will stay exactly with them and how far they'll go and everything, and I shouldn't have done that. And so I got there in the morning, and I instead went and hunted the RJ. And then I got a picture of the other one 15 yards from where I was going to be sitting with a perfect wind.
Yeah, that was hard.
So
we're not supposed to use that word, apparently.
We tard, you tard, we say tard.
That was a freaking hilarious video.
Sorry, it's a video of the guy's special, and he says it's okay. So, and he knows we're not referring to him. You know, it's a general term that we're not meaning derogatory towards anybody. Anyways, then I saw him. Then I saw him a fourth time, where that one really confused me because I had a stand that was in a good spot, and nobody had hunted it this year, and nobody hunted it even really last year. So I was pretty sure this deer had not figured out this stand. I was going into it. I decided, you know what, I'm going to drop all of my saddle gear in this like grass opening, because then I don't have to try to, just minimizing noise of me getting into the stand. I do that. I get into the stand, and then I have a buck come by me with a doe in heat. I see all kinds of bucks. I've seen everybody but RJ, and something he's got to show up because he can't be that far, and he clearly runs the place. And it's 45 minutes later, an hour later, and he shows up behind me, but he not where he should have my wind, and then makes a circle, pretty much runs into the buck with the doe in heat, and they are like almost standing on my saddle stuff. And so I'm like, I don't know what that's going to mean. And
probably not helpful.
But then the doe that I believe was in heat comes running back to me, and so does RJ, because I think she's in heat. And so she's at 60 yards, he's at like 80, and he's looking in my general direction and then in front of him. General direction in front of him. And she turns and she comes and she starts walking right towards me. And I'm like, finally, your ass is grass. Because she walks to 25 yards, 20 yards, beds down. And then he like looks around, thinks about it, and leaves. And I'm like, what the frick? So I don't know if the deer managed to catch me going in, if he smelled my saddle stuff and knew that was the direction. I don't know. I have no idea what it was. I've never seen a deer that you could peel off of a doe in heat.
She might not have been a doe in heat though.
And maybe that's
or
true.
She's close.
So I don't know what happened on that one. And so then I was pretty well disgusted with the deer at this point. And Easton is like, let's go again. We can do it. Let's go again. And so I said, you know what? Sure, you can. And he's like, where do you think we should go? I don't care. Here's everything I know about the deer. You tell us where to go. So Easton says, okay. And we go and we pick a spot, or Easton picks a spot. We go and we set up. I don't know, it's probably an hour later, and he's like, hey, there's a good buck. And he's like, oh my God, it's him. And son of a is downwind, as always. But the wind is like flipped and doing the exact opposite. So, and then he like goes up on this hill, and then he starts coming to us, and he gets to 50 yards, and he's walking right at us. And so I don't know what Easton was thinking. He was probably thinking this is going to happen.
No, because I knew everything else that you had been through, that I'm sitting there praying that the freaking wind stays the way it was going. And then after that, I was like, he's going way too slow. So I'm not allowing myself to get too excited because he's taking forever.
Yeah.
And I do not like that when they take too long to get there.
Well, and that was I wasn't even.
I was definitely
really
amped up though.
Yeah, I wasn't even really that excited because I was just like, this always finds a way to win. So, and then I was just praying on the wind, and then sure enough, I feel the wind flip and hits him, and he smells us, and off he goes. So I guess I say all that to say that that's where I have a couple of the lessons that I've learned from this year, and that I guess it's hard to complain. I feel as though, honestly, Dad's had a worse season than I have. Nick would probably know better, but it seems like Dad's had it pretty rough as far as even just having shooter deer
around
him. Where, I mean, I've actually had 6 big buck encounters, 5 obviously the one, but then another one that we were chasing. Easton and I go and sit for him one time, and same thing. It's like I have an aura around me this year because we see the buck go out about 100 yards from us, and he's going the complete opposite direction of really what we want him to do. But Easton and I both said, I wonder, because we'd never seen him go to the north side of this property ever. And so we were like, I wonder if he's going to cut back, get the wind, and then come up this timber draw that we're in to check for does. And I don't know, maybe
that was the craziest
25.
call I think that either of us have ever had in a while.
But we learned. I feel as though I learned something for sure from that.
Well, we both are very. I think it helped that the way the land was laid out really made it visualize what he was going to do.
Yeah, you weren't getting. You could see it 100%. Yeah, it was very interesting. And so I don't know, maybe 20. So basically, what this deer did is he walked through a wide open field. And I mean, this is like 330, and this is a big deer. This is not like, and he's a mature deer. He's not a 3-year-old deer. And he walks through this just wide open field. We grunt at him and do everything. And so we're in stuff that you would think a big buck would want to walk through. And he goes up through this wide open parking lot, basically. And then he had to have cut back to our direction and comes in, and we obviously are hunting the wind. And so then he comes and gets into our draw, is what we believe, so that he'd have the wind, knowing that there's more likely going to be does bedded in where we're at, that he could then just smell them. And so it's probably 25, 30 minutes later, and I tell Easton, there's a doe, and she's running across the field. And she cuts like right in front of us at 100 yards. And then sure enough, right behind her, here he is. And he's coming right up our draw. So I don't know if he hadn't, so he manages to find this doe in like 15 minutes of searching and heat. And I don't know if he would have, if he hadn't found her, if he would have smelled us. Because I think he would have probably got on the other side of the draw to be able to get any does bedded in there, which then he would have smelled us anyways. Or if he would have just kept coming right down that edge, and we would have shot him at 15 yards. And so then he chases her all around everything and stays at like 60 yards, and we never get a shot. So I say all that to say that I just couldn't really catch a break, at least in the first part of this season. And then I did finally get a shot at a mature deer on the very last day. Easton and I sat over some standing beans that Dad and Nick gave us some info on, and had a really nice buck come out. And he was standing behind this. There was some brush in front of him, and so he stood there for 15 minutes, and it was really cold. And so then he finally stepped out and gave me a clear shot at 34 yards or 35 yards. I took forever on the shot, took my time and everything, and I told myself to hold back a little bit to come back because he was quartered away pretty hard. And I couldn't find a spot to aim at. Like, it had just gotten dark enough, and he had a perfect coat. There wasn't any freaking ruffle on his fur, nothing to be able to pick a spot. And so I think I just gravitated to where I would typically put an arrow. And so I hit him. Like, if he was perfectly broadside, I think you couldn't hit him much
Any
better.
Yeah.
But he was quartered away. And so I hit that deer too far forward, and we never found him.
You.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, because like Easton didn't know. I think so. That was actually
I had no idea until you said it.
That's the first whitetail buck that I've ever lost.
That's freaking wild.
So
yeah,
that one.
He shot a lot of deer.
That one kind of hurt.
Yeah.
On top of a rough season, then to lose a deer for the first time, that was pretty tough. So. But it's not like
unfortunately, it happens to all of us at some point or another.
Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, on the worst year, which maybe that's the right time to have it. I guess
you might as well have it. You'd rather it with that than imagine RJ coming in and you do that.
Yeah, which I mean, not that I want to wound any deer.
You'd be jumping in that frozen river pretty quick.
My bow would be a hacksaw on that tree. I only crashed out once this year.
Which time?
Well, I was sitting by myself.
Oh.
And the other deer that was on his 6-day rotation chose not to show up where he's supposed to on his 6th day. And then I get
he knew.
And then I get a picture of the like a few hundred yards from me, like he totally knew. And so I've done really good on staying positive and everything. I just had a slight crash out where you never just want to like kind of choke the tree.
Yeah.
I put the tree in a headlock, and it was like, what is wrong with these freaking deer? I had myself a little moment and allowed myself to cool off. So anyways, I guess we should get to a lesson out of that. Do you want to go over any of your lessons first, or should I just dive into one of mine?
Mine are probably going to be I've talked about one of them, but the using your tools. And what I mean by that is I'm telling you you learn how to read it, learn how to use it, learn how to see the physical features in real life. But onX, the topo and the 2D version of it, you can turn the LiDAR on. The LiDAR and the topographic lines is freaking nuts. That's the reason I killed Big Joe, in my opinion, because you can see your land without having to go in there right away, but you can see how the land lays, what draw is there, what really anything. It makes it extremely easy to see that, and you can kind of pick out if you start paying attention to, okay, where have I seen some of these deer in this area coming to or from or whatever. And sometimes there's been places like the one we call Gobbler, that stand seems fairly random, being on this freaking big, we know it's in a bedding area, but it just seems very random why they're coming up by us.
Yeah.
And then when you look at it on the LiDAR, oh my gosh, it makes sense. There's a freaking draw that you really can't see or tell that much, but the draw comes right up to the tree.
A whole bunch of them do.
Yeah, and they kind of all meet, and so that makes sense why there's a area there where they're all coming through. And so that specifically, I encourage you guys a lot to get that. Look at it, spend some time in it. When you're in the woods, spend some time with it, because you'll start seeing, especially if you're in somewhere you have snow right now, that you can see some of these trails and things really easily where there's a lot of sign and what deer are doing, and you can go look at your LiDAR map and you'll start picking up on things that you see on that you can match in other properties, that you can go say, hey, may not feel like there's a funnel here, but there's really good funnel here because they're doing something. And that to me was, that's how I felt, is I felt like in the first part of the year when I was hunting that deer was kind of random. I was like, okay, well, I think he might be over here today, or he might be over here, and I know he likes here and here, so let's get in the middle kind of thing.
Yep.
Once I threw that out the window and I started looking at that, here's what I think of this buck or just deer are going to do. I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to try here, and then I'm going to try here. And I had multiple spots that didn't work. And then when I just hit one that he happened to be there. But it was because of that map I could pick out why I wasn't 100 yards further in like I normally was, or whatever else, where I wouldn't have gotten a shot.
I will say Easton told me that. He's like, I think this might change the way I hunt. And I looked at it first, and I was kind of like, yeah, I mean, yeah, it seems like it might be a little helpful. And then the more and more I looked at it, I will say this, that I would agree with him as far as it then also changed the way that I hunt, because it does, just like he was saying, we have a couple stands that I looked at, and the stand got there from seeing deer and then somewhat just knowing there's deer here all the time, not 100% knowing why. And then that, because even when you're standing there, it's hard to see the topographical look of what would force them to do that, which seems weird. Like you would think that you'd be able to stand there and see it, but with a bunch of timber and brush, you can't really. And then you look on that map and it's very evident. Well, this is why we have the stand right here and not 100 yards over there or 100 yards over here, because these deer are following this funnel and they're following this and they're following each of these things that is pushing them towards this.
Yep.
So then I started using that a lot as well. And I think that's one that I would encourage you. I think Easton's 100% right on that one. Use that LiDAR, use that tool. That thing is very, very helpful. You want me to do one?
Yeah.
So you guys have heard me say before that I believe in that there's two ways to hunt a deer. You can either try to learn that deer so well and hunt him based off what he wants to do, or you can try to manipulate things in a way to try to get him what you want him to do. And now I believe that I think that if I had the third approach, which would be a hybrid approach for RJ, I think he'd be dead. And the reason I think that RJ is not dead is because if you look at this particular piece of property where he lives, I actually even measured it the other day. There's about 150 acre block of timber, which
is a lot.
Especially I'm sure any East Coast guys we have listening to this are like, tell me about it. I hunt thousands, Yeah. And so it makes it very, very hard to funnel these deer down in some places, because you can look at the LiDAR and there's some places where, yeah, sure, you might be able to funnel them down, but at the same time, there may not be access to that.
Or there's still so many options.
That's the problem.
That there was a lot of different places he could do it.
The particular problem I believe that there was with RJ is it's all good. There's really not a lot of places where the bedding here is way better than the bedding over here, or that the food or anything like that. And so I think the only reason that I was able to see him 5 times is because we know him well enough that I have a pretty good idea of at least where he likes to hang out. And so then the problem with that is that gets you in within 100 yards, and you need luck to get you the other 60. And so I think that with some specific food plots, some things that would put 1 or 2 more things in my favor, I think one of those 5 times he probably would have been dead. So that's one thing I'm going to pay a lot more attention to this year, on putting in time and trying to make some things where it's generic, to where there's a reason and you have some way to be able to funnel them and have access to that, so that, because that was the issue with him, is just pinching him down to 40 yards. It was like either the pinch point was where it was so tight that I don't think he would do it anyways, because then we've found out this deer is he's more smart than what I gave him credit for, and I think that he'd be really nervous about going through a super tight pinch point, or it was too wide to where he could still skirt you at 80 yards or something like that. So that's one thing I think I'm going to pay a lot more attention to going into next year, and do more work to try to kind of do a hybrid approach like that, and then be able to utilize each of those assets.
I think when it comes to the food plot stuff too, that you always bring up are you trying to learn a deer and hunt the deer, or are you trying to manipulate what the deer does? You kind of, I look at it a little differently. I think a lot of people have the notion that if you start planting food plots or start putting a lot of time into it, you're gonna draw the food or whatever else you're gonna do is going to draw a lot more deer to live there. And the more I've been planting different things and specifically trying to plant different things, I'm not particularly trying to move deer in. And number one, I'm trying to utilize what they are doing already to improve upon it. For instance, the property that we have that is awful for access. I mean, you can't do anything with it. It went from like a couple acres of food to 13 acres of food, and I didn't do all of it in just food. I was like, if we want to do anything with this, we need to try to figure out how to get deer to bed in a different area or give them some bedding. There's just not much there. And so I've learned to give them what they necessarily need in that spot to be able to help you hunt it better, as opposed to, hey, I'm just going to go plant as much food as I can, because it doesn't work that well. I did that 2 years ago and tried to plant as much food as possible just to give them as much food as possible.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it doesn't benefit them all that much if they don't have everything else they need too. Because this year I gave them water, I gave them bedding, and I gave them some food areas where they could go to and from spots. And there's a ton more deer there because they can have that. And so I think that you got to look at what you're lacking in an area to give it something that you need, and then you're still hunting the deer. You're not manipulating the deer. You're hunting how they're using it still.
Yep. Yeah, which I think I would fall under the hybrid approach.
Agreed.
The second one that I would definitely throw in there for sure would be, and this is going to be really hard for you guys that are doing it, they're just hunting by yourself all the time. But when Easton started, after he killed Big Joe and he started hunting with me, and I let him pick the spots, we ended up in a couple different spots that my gut is kind of telling me, no, don't go here, or whatever. But I was like, no, he killed a big deer this year, so just shut up. And what I'm doing isn't working. So just shut your mouth and go with it. And we sat a couple places that I hadn't even considered. And the one was probably the best sit I had this year. I mean, we saw a stupid amount of deer
by the road.
Yeah, like 30 or 40 deer in the timber. We almost killed a buck I've never seen. I passed another mature deer. We saw 6-7 bucks. I mean, well, more than that, probably
6-7.
probably 10 to 12 bucks, but like 6 decent notable
we saw
bucks.
7 bucks chasing one doe. So yeah, we saw more than that.
Exactly. And so all that does to me is further proves the point that you need to, and you have to do it at the good times. That's where it gets really hard. Is you're thinking, oh, this is the right time to be in this stand. If you're having a tough time, move and pick the spot that you would think, like, this is the last place I'd go sit. Go sit there, and you'll probably be shocked at what you see. So that to me was really good, because I did apply that rule this year that I talked about on the podcast last year with trail cameras. I was going to force myself to put like at least 50% of them, or whatever number I said, into new places. And I did that, and that has taught me so much about deer this year.
You learn where they're doing different things.
Uh-huh.
And especially that goes for the ones that have had a property for 6 years, 5 years, 10 years, or it's your family property. If you've had it for a long time, it's time to change. More than likely. I think the vast majority of guys, they put their camera on the same spot, same tree even. They keep their stands in the same spot, which is why I have I pretty well threw stands out the window at this point, because I've now been to the point of I want to try different things. I'm not going to go put so many freaking stands in everywhere when next year I'm probably going to want to move them.
Yep. And the deer figure them out for sure.
So I saddle hunt. Like this year, I think I had the one day with you and one other. I think I had 2 days all year and I was self-filming and everything too. You were doing the same, packing it all with me. And I preferred that over going to sit in a tree, because I'm like, I want to change it up.
Yep.
So the other one, or my number 2 was, I feel like you get years where, maybe you guys can relate, maybe you can't. I don't know. I feel like you get years where just the wind in general, the weather, there's some years where it's just every day you got a pretty consistent wind. It's doing it, whether it's the right direction or not, but it's something consistent. Then other years I feel like it's much more prominent to have these freaking swirling winds, or it does this or it does that, and it drives you up a wall because you can never get to do what you needed to do, and that makes it tough. And I feel like we had one of those years this year where everything was, it just seemed like swirl after swirl after swirl. And what I learned is thermals. You need to know thermals and how they operate and why they operate the way they do. And a lot of places is going to come down to scouting, being in an area where you can determine when is going to do this here, or it's not going to do this here, or this land feature allows it to do this. But when I started focusing on different places, I was like, screw this. I'm done. Well, I look at the Weather Channel, and I'm seeing a specific wind direction or whatever. I'm looking at Onyx on the wind. It might be somewhat accurate to what it is on top of the hill, but when I get into where I'm going, it's like over and over again, not working. So I started saying, screw it. Unless it's 8 to 10 mile an hour or more, I'm hunting what I think the wind is going to do in that spot. Meaning, what do I think the thermals are going to do in that spot? I didn't even look at the wind. And it worked for me very well because everything kept swirling in different places. And finally I said, screw that. And looked at and that's not to say ignore the wind. That is saying that there is not very much wind. So your thermals are going to overpower what the wind is doing. So in whatever area it is, if you have a 3 or 4 mile an hour wind and it's a north wind, there's a great chance you get into somewhere if the draw sits right, or if there's a creek below you, or just a steep hill or something, that you may have a south wind. But
Yep.
You need to know that. And it opens up a lot of opportunities, and it will help you predict where to hunt before getting in somewhere and being like, oh, crap.
I saw a podcast clip of a guy talking about this, and what he said he started doing is actually waiting till like 7:30, 8, till the wind was actually prominent enough that it wasn't swirling all over to even go into his stands.
Yeah.
And I think I might try some of that next year, because I wonder if he's 100% right and you do more damage trying to
Get in early and stuff sometimes.
Yeah, and having it going all over the place, all around, and just praying that it's going to line out, or waiting for it to line out, like in that time period if you already screwed it up.
Yeah. Well, that one I think we need to do a video. Try to do some videos on how to understand the thermals, because it's a hard one to explain and teach. I can teach it to Joey and stuff, like when we're in a stand together, it's very easy.
Yep.
But over like on the podcast or in videos, it's tough.
Yep.
I did have one last one, and it's simple, but beans are freaking power, man. They are power. And oh my gosh, if you have the ability to plant them, or you got a farmer that's willing to maybe leave a little bit for you, and you can even put a fence around it, and let it stay till later. If you have any kind of late season, oh, it's unreal. I mean, even during the season, a lot of we planted a lot more beans this year than our food plot mixes and stuff, instead of the food plot mixes and things like that you'll do, and clovers and stuff, and it just it demolishes the food plot stuff. I mean, there's some places that are worth trying different things, or you need a smaller field, whatever else, but the two things that are like just unreal that you could do in a lot of places is alfalfa and beans. And then the one I will say is I love turnips, because if you have a good turnip field in the winter, they're going to do power too. But I feel like you get so many different food plot mixes of, you should do this, you should do that, you should have this blend and this blend. Those two alone, I think, could handle it pretty easily. Yeah.
You're standing beans too. I think that as soon as there's any snow, it's just so much easier. I think even over turnips, they'd rather go to the beans where they don't have to dig through the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%. One last one that I'll have, and this one I guess is probably more of a reminder. And this one's really hard to do, because I was even telling myself to do this and I still didn't do it. When you're actually in hunting season, you're making these decisions, you need to, if you have a plan that you feel really confident on and things are going the way that they should, stick to your plan. Don't start reading studies. Don't do anything. Trust your gut over information, as far as like outside information, and just keep doing what you plan to do. I do think that if I Hadn't gone to RJ that one morning and gone and hunted the other deer like I had planned on. Wind was perfect. It was actually blowing the way it was supposed to and everything that morning. I don't really see how there's any way he would have known that I was in there. I think that I probably would have killed that deer on November 6th or something like that. But I just started overthinking. So and I know that's a lot easier said than done. So that's just a reminder, I think, there to.
I think that's a good. Nobody knows your situation like you know your situation.
Yeah.
No matter how much you text your buddy, like the only difference with us is the fact that me and Warren will sit in a tree stand for however many hours together, where you can lay it out to me or I can lay it out to you, whatever you're dealing with your deer, I'm dealing with mine, and we get a really good idea. We've even hunted some of the same places, so we can kind of relate to each other, know that here's what I would do or here's what I wouldn't do. But the vast majority of you guys, when you're just texting somebody or you even asking us sometimes what you'd do in a situation, our information is going to be generalized based on what you tell us, what information we have as far as what we can see virtually through Onyx or something. And you ultimately are going to know the most. You got to trust yourself. You trust your gut, and whether you're like, well, they said to do this, but something's really telling me I should go do blank. Go do blank.
Yeah.
Like, trust your gut, trust yourself. You're the one in the situation. Everything's a little unique, and it's unique to your spot. So,
yep. Okay.
Legend, do not eat that microphone.
I'll do a quick wacky fact because I think the dogs have told us that they are done.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, they are ready to go.
Huh? Yeah, they out. And so I know Easton knows this one, but I bet most people don't know this. If you know when a dog drinks, their tongue actually works in reverse.
I feel like everybody knows that.
No, they don't. Because I've shown slow-mo videos of that to people. It blows their mind.
I'm not.
So what I mean by that is their tongue, you think that their tongue would go like under the water and scoop it up. It goes backwards. It goes over the water, and they make a little bowl, and they bring it back in their mouth.
Yeah. I can't even turn my tongue that way.
Yeah, well, which is surprising because you're a dog.
I'll take that as a compliment. All right. Well,
we'll let the fans
interesting
vote on that one, or let the
Yeah.
Rays fan vote.
I think that's a pretty good podcast. So make sure you guys go to the website, check it out if you want to submit your stories, your requests, things like that, and let us know how your guys' season went. Otherwise, we still got, is the time of year, we're shipping still. Get yourself some apparel. Got presents.
Christmas gifts.
We have some, those. I think we only have a couple left, but the candles, the match set.
Oh, yeah.
If you're looking for something, a stocking stuffer or something, whether you're a woman and you need to buy it for your husband, get yourself a candle, get him some scents, or vice versa. You want to give your wife a stocking stuffer, there's a really nice candle in there, and you get some scents to go with it. So without further ado, we're gone. Thanks for tuning
Gone like
in.
a freight train, gone like yesterday.